So we're in your consumer math in chapter 11 now, in section 7, and we're going to be talking about buying stock in the stock market. Well, when you're buying stock in the stock market, you're becoming part owner of a corporation. By purchasing the shares, you own a part of the business. But you also take more risks than a bondholder. Remember, a bondholder, if you have a bond, has confidence that they will receive their face value. But a stockholder is guaranteed nothing. If the company profits, then you will profit. The stockholder will profit. But if the company loses, then you will lose as the company loses. But there's a greater potential to get rich quick sometimes, a potential to give a greater return for your money in the stock market. Well, one thing advisors say about jumping into the stock market, first of all, you should have liquid money for emergencies, and you should be debt-free before you go into the stock market, and have at least 6 months pay in your savings account. Stock is liquid, but many people that invest in stock have to sell at a loss. So advisors suggest this buying in the stock market is not for people that are already in debt. That is certain. There are two different types of stock. The two different types of stock that you would buy: a common stock and a preferred stock. A common stock, if you buy a common stock, you have the right to vote on the company's board, and your votes are allowed. So common stock holders can vote. That's a question. But the preferred stockholders get paid first, even though they can't vote. So you would think preferred stock would be the ones that could vote, but no, the common stockholders that hold those dividends, the common dividends, are actually given the right to vote. And the preferred stock are those that are paid first. What are dividends? Well, dividends are those percentages of the company's profits before the common stockholders. So first of all, the preferred stock will get the dividends first, but dividends are that money that's given as the company profits. The dividends come. So the dividends are that percentage of the money. Okay, there's also what's called par value. Par value is the amount printed on the stock, and it's the price that's initially sold to you. That's called the par value. There's no par stock. So what is no par stock? No par stock in the stock market has no printed value at all on it. So no par stock does not have a print of value on it, though you can still trade it in the stock market. So the market price is the current selling price quoted in dollars per share. Now remember, bonds and life insurance, you go by units of 1,000, right? But in shares, we're going to be able to go into the dollars. When it's quoted there, it's quoted in dollars, not percent. Remember, the bonds were percent. We went by percent of 1,000. And now we're going into a total different area in buying stock. So the stock is going to be measured in dollars per share. So 13 3/8 will mean $13 and 37 or 37 and a half, or $13.375. But it goes by dollars of one share. So and to go by the stock market, if you're looking at the stock market, you're going to probably look in the Wall Street Journal, but you can also look into daily newspapers to see if your stock is rising or falling. So let's look how that works. So if you turn your page here, you'll see the selected stocks here. Okay, so now we're going to look, and you'll see here is the 52 weeks in a year, right? And so we'll see 52 weeks, and you'll see the high and the low for that stock. Here's the stock. This stock, we'll look at Aetna. So Aetna, the high was 115 and 7/8, and the low was 57 and 3/8 here. So that's the high and low of the whole year. So you can look at, oh, the stock was up to 115 and 7/8, and now it dropped down to 57. So you can see how it fluctuates during the whole year. Some stock, as you can see, fluctuate less, like Pepsi. Pepsi, 39.5 to 28. That's the high and the low. So you can see, and some fluctuate a lot. You know, especially like Aetna. What else would fluctuate a lot here? You see which one would fluctuate more. Well, most of them, I think Aetna is the one that fluctuated the most here. So, but we have, oh, this one's, how about Liz Claiborne? That company fluctuated a lot there. So you want to see, when you're looking for stock, you want to probably get a stock that is more stable. So going on, the stock, the name of the company, the dividend is right here. The dividend is the annual dividend paid per share by the corporation. The dividend is what they pay you. When there's a profit, they'll pay you a dividend, right? And you'll get that. And then you have the yield, the percent yield. The percent yield is the dividend as a percent of the closing price. So you divide the annual dividend per share by the closing price of the share. So the annual dividend per share. So the annual dividend per share here, you divide this by the closing price and you'll get the yield. And that's the percent yield. So just remember, you're taking this dividend and you're dividing it by the closing price and you get the yield. The yield you wants to know, basically, is the dividend also a percent of the closing price? You know, there with the yield, it tells you basically what's happening with your stocks. On to, this is pretty important, the PE ratio. The PE ratio, that means price to earnings. And it's where basically you take the closing market price here where it says close, and then you divide it by the corporation's annual earnings per share. And then you'll get the PE ratio, price to earnings to the nearest whole number. And this tells how the stock is doing. So just remember, PE ratio is the closing market price divided by the corporation's annual earnings per share. So, so we go on to the next. We've got the PE ratio. We'll look at that one. We'll look at that a little more detail in just a little bit anyway. So if you don't really get that yet, the sales here go by hundreds, not thousands like bonds. Sales are by hundreds. The number of shares given in 100 that were traded. So 100s that were traded in the hundreds that were either bought or sold that day. Like Aetna has 3218 right there, shares traded. So that really means 3218, that's going to be 321,800 shares that are traded. The high and the low again, the high is the highest market price paid that day now, and the low is the lowest. During the day, it fluctuates during the day because people are buying and selling their stocks during the whole day. So there'll be a high point of the day and a low point of the day. So 114 and 1/8, and the low is 111 in that same day. And the closing is the last market price paid that day. The last market price was 114, so you can see it was up to 114 from 111. And so then a important thing you need to look at is the net change. Did your stock, did it grow? Did your stock go up, or did your stock go down? And so that's the net change, the difference between this day, this day's price, and then the previous day. So in 1 day time, did your price go up or down? So the net change, and you can see if there's a plus sign, it means it went up. If there's a minus sign, it means it went down. If you have a sign with just 2 dashes, that means it stayed the same, exactly the same. So did it increase or fall? That's how you can tell the net change there. So looking at this to remember what this is, we have just a review. We have the high and low of the whole year, and we have the name of the company. We have the dividend that was paid out. The dividend first, the annual dividend paid per share by the stock. Aetna paid an annual dividend of 80 cents, and then on to the yield. The yield is the dividend as a percent of the closing price. And this is the yield is the annual dividend per share, this dividend, divided by the closing price, and you'll get the percent yield. And so here's the percent yield, is if it's 1.9%, 1.6%, whatever these, Aetna would be, that is 0.7%. Okay, and just a review of the PE ratio. The PE ratio is the abbreviation from price to earnings, as I said before, and you can see there it's the closing market price over the corporation's annual earnings per share. Annual means yearly, so you're going to find out what the earnings were per share, and you're going to put that PE price to earnings ratio. This is very important. Then you can see really in the long run, is your stock growing or not? And of course, the sales in 100 refers to the number of shares given in 100 that were traded that day. That day, Aetna had, we went over that. And then the high and the low for the day, the closing, and then the net change. Net change is the closing price today compared to the closing price yesterday. So now you'll need, can't even see that there. Okay, let's go over that again. Net change is the closing price today compared to the closing price yesterday. So you'll get these gradually, but basically as you look, if you're looking in your newspaper and you find this, you kind of can go through and realize just by which one, and then usually it shows you directions on what it means. So okay, we're going to go to one of the model problems. Find the cost of 150 shares of McDonald's at the lowest price of the day. So we go back to that other page. Let's turn the page and look at McDonald's. You see where McDonald's is right here. Okay, there's McDonald's. So what's it asking? It wants to know find the cost of 150 shares of McDonald's at the lowest price of the day. So use the stock information to find the low price for McDonald's. So let's look at the low price for McDonald's for the day. McDonald's, 52.5, right? Let's see if they put 52.5. Surely they did. So the lowest price of the day was 52.5. That's our lowest price. And now we want to find the cost of 150 shares of McDonald's. Okay, remember, we don't have to worry like bonds. Remember, we had percent bonds of 1,000. We don't have to worry that. This means dollars. So this 52 means $52. $52.50 times 150 shares, because you wanted 150 shares. So 52.50 times 150. This is the cost. So you take 52.50, multiply it by 150, and your cost will be $7,875. The total cost of the stock for McDonald's. So the thing is, you watch when things go up and up. Then you buy at the top, and then you sell at the bottom. That's what you want to do, so that you can make money as you buy low and sell high. Is what you do in the stock market. Kind of like gambling, in some ways. It is. So it's not my favorite thing to do, but. So now it says find the missing information in the stock market report if the corporation's annual earnings per share were 412 and yesterday's closing was 53. Okay, to find the yield, remember the yield is going to be the cost. Let's go over what that yield is. The yield is going to be the annual dividend over the closing price. So let's go, yield is going to be $2.64 dividends. This is what the price of the dividend was. So you're going to divide the dividend, the annual dividend right here. That's what they got that year. They got a dividend of $2.64 per share. So, and they divide that by the closing price per share, and the closing price, we divided by the closing price, which is 53 which would be 53.5. So here we have this is the dividends that they gave out in the year, $2.64, and this over here is the closing price of $53.50. And so you get a calculator, calculate that out, and you have the yield as 4.9 yield, which is percent. That's the way you can see how your stock is doing. So let's go on to the next here. So we go on to the next to find the PE ratio. Remember, the PE ratio is the closing market price over the corporation's annual earnings per share. So the PE ratio is 53. So these are the things we're going to find. 53 is the closing market price. It's 53.5, just like up here, closing market price. And then you're going to put the corporate's annual unit earnings per share, which is $4.12 per share. So it says the missing information, the per share were $4.12. That's what they're telling us. See, this corporation's annual earning is not on here, but they're telling you that the annual earnings were $4.12. So we put that in there. We got that, $53.50 over $4.12. And you calculate that out on your calculator, and the PE ratio is 13. PE ratio, that's to find the PE ratio, again, price to earnings. So that's what the PE ratio means. Basically taking the closing price and then the corporation's annual earnings per share, how much they earned. So, and to find the net change, of course, we're going to find the net change. We look at the low and the high of the day. So we look at the today's closing price is 53.5, and yesterday's closing price was 53. So we have yesterday's closing price 53. So you're going to see the net change. It says yesterday's closing price was 53. Today's closing price was 53.5. So 53.5 minus 53. So basically, yesterday's was lower and today's higher. So we have a plus half net change. So these are not too hard. You just kind of go filling in the blanks for these different things to find the missing parts. Okay. These are kind of important questions because they might be on the test. Hope you can see this clearly. So we have, let me turn this light on. Looks kind of dark in here, huh? Maybe that'll help. So stocks are less of a risk than bonds? No, stocks are more of a risk than bonds. Stocks are liquid? Yes, stocks are liquid. You can cash in your stocks at any time. The stock purchased at the quotation of 49 3/8 is guaranteed to be worth 49.375 when the stockholder sells the stock. Nothing is guaranteed with stocks, so that's false. You know, it says it's guaranteed to be worth that. Not necessarily. It could fall at any moment or rise at any moment. Par value of stock is the current selling price. No, par value is what is written on the stock when you buy it, not when you sell it. The common stockholders cannot vote for the company's board of directors. No, the common stockholders do vote. They're the ones that could vote. The common stockholders can vote. The preferred cannot. Preferred stockholders receive dividends before common stockholders. Yes, the preferred always receive them first. So a net change of plus 3/4 means the closing price for a share of stock today is 75 cents more than the closing price yesterday. Yes, this always means money. It always means money. So sales are given in thousands of stock. And bonds go by thousands. Sales are given in the stock by looking at those stocks as of what money, and that just represents the money, not necessarily. They never go by thousands. Life insurance go by 1,000 units, and so do bonds, but stocks do not. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there's a lot of questions there. We'll go on to the next section here. I want to go on a little bit about the stockbroker here. see this. Sorry, I got a little crazy here. The stockbroker. Okay, the stockbroker. Stock usually is sold in multiples of 100. So remember, we're not going by 1,000 units anymore. Stocks are by multiples over 100. That's how you usually sell those stocks. So if you want to buy stocks, you usually have to buy 100, but not always. And that's why they go by odd lots, and round lots. Round lots are always by 100. You're buying 100 at once. And odd lots are others. Like say you want to buy 50, or say that you buy 150. That means you have a round lot of 100 and you have an odd lot of 50. That's how you do that. It's kind of complicated, but that's how they go. So they go by round lots are always of 100. So if you're going to a broker and you say you want to buy a round lot, then they tell you exactly. This is the brokerage fee. So if you're under 100 of the round lot is 6.5% at 100, and then they tell you how much the broker fee is going to be. And they make it kind of complicated, don't they? Like for a round lot, $6.50 per share plus 2.5% any amount over 100. And we'll be doing some of these. You'll have some of these on your test. So basically you just have to look and say, oh, how much am I purchasing? Am I purchasing up to I'm at $3,000 worth? Then I go by the broker's going to get $59, but 1% over those over 3,000. So it depends on where it goes, and we'll do some of those so that you'll know. We'll do them on the test, that's for sure. So let's go about the stock. Just basically the stockbroker, you always have to pay the piper. You always have to pay the stockbroker something, right? For they're watching the stock and they're buying and selling on the stock market for you. So let's go right here. Nat Biggs purchased 400 shares of Nuro Oil at $15 per share. How much did the stock cost Mr. Biggs? Well, you find the cost of 400 shares of stock. So 400 shares of stock cost what? $15 per share, right? And he got 400. So basically you're going to say $15 times 400. So he's going to have to spend, to buy that, he's going to have to spend $6,000. $15 per share, and he's buying 400 equals $6,000. Now he needs to also pay the piper, pay the broker. Find the brokerage fee by using this table. So we're going to look. So he has 6,000. So we're going to look at the table to where 6,000 falls. 6,000 falls between 3,000 and 10,000 here. And it's a round lot because it's 100. It's 6,000. It's round lot. There's no odd lots there. So he's going to go by this, right? So 400 shares of round lot, and the amount of purchase fee is $59 plus 1%. 1% over 3,000. So he's $3,000 over. He's $3,000 over 3,000, right? So it's over amount over 3,000. Well, he's 6,000, so he's 3,000. So he's $3,000 excess purchase, and so he's going to charge that at 1%. So 3,000 times 1%. He's going to have a fee for $30 there, but he also has to add the $59. $59 plus 1% over 3,000. So $30, $59 plus 30, $89. So the brokerage fee is going to be $89. So he's going to pay $6,000 for the shares and $89 for the brokerage fee. So his total cost is going to be $6,089, which includes the brokerage fee. You see that there? Okay. See how that problem went? It made it kind of complicated, I know. So let's look. Another model problem here. Phyllis purchased 84 shares of Boeing at $68.50 per share. How much did the stock cost? So you find the cost of 84 shares. So she has the cost per share, $68.50. And then she times that by 84, and you get $5,754. That's going to be her cost for the shares. But now you have to find the brokerage fee. We did the same thing. So you look on here, the total purchase is $5,754, and minus 3,000. Remember 3,000 because it's between that. It's again, it was here. If you look on that table, you'll see the amount of purchase was that the fee is $75 plus 1.5% of above that over 3,000. So let's look back at that and see what that was. Right here, it's an odd lot, and so it's this $75 plus 1.5% above 3,000. So that's what we're going to go about for the brokerage fee. Hardest part here is finding the brokerage fee of all things. So here we go. Here, there's an excess, the excess of purchase. Since you bought 5,700, we have to subtract 3,000 because anything over 3,000, you're going to have to pay 1.5%. So here we have 2,754, 1.5%. So when you times this, it's $41.31. And so it's going to be plus 75 because 75 plus that. So 75 plus 41.31, this is the brokerage fee, 116.31. And so we're going to add that to the cost right here, the cost of our shares, and we're going to get a total cost that we're going to pay as $5,870.31. So this is the same way. We're going to use that same kind of thing, cost per share in the odd lots. This one though, and you're going to probably have one, is kind of complicated because we have 140 shares. Well, we have 100 that are going to be round lot, and we have 40 that are going to be on the odd lot. So you have two different prices. So you do the 100 first. So here's, I've got $103.75 per share. The round lot times 100. So this is how many shares you have for the round lot, because we only take 100. And then so you have 100, and you have minus 10,000, because if you looked at that, it's going to basically say find the brokerage fee for round lot, find the cost of 100 shares, and the brokerage fee round lot is $129 plus 0.5%. So basically you're going to do first, you're going to find the 100 shares, and then you're going to go down and find the 40 shares down here for the odd lot, and do the other one for the odd lot, and then you're going to add those two together, which would be 75 plus $17.25, and your brokerage fee is going to be $92.25. And so then the cost for the round lot and the cost for the odd lot, and then on to the brokerage fees. You have to add 1, 2, 3, 4 things up, and then you'll get the total cost, $14,748.13. So basically this kind of thing, when you have shares like that, to divide them into two, you might have one of those. So that's going to be it. We're going to go finish up in our next video and then do the quizzes.